Stories that are untold, underreported, and all-out inspirational. Carey Pena reports.
Hey guys, I'm Carey Pena. Thanks so much for listening on iTunes and Stitcher, and for watching us on Facebook and YouTube, and of course for connecting with us at inspiredmedia360.com. This is our 100th podcast episode, and I am here with the man behind the mic and the camera at the audio board, Shannon Hernandez. Show everyone your shirt.
Oh yeah, here's my shirt.
Yes, be good to people.
Be good to people.
You wore that in my honor?
I did. Well, Carey's like, I've been rubbing off, and you have. You've been rubbing off on me quite a bit. So.
Well, you're a person who likes motivation and inspiration. I mean, just because you work at a hard rock station doesn't mean that you don't like inspiration.
Well, my journey and my travels and inspiration and motivation all came like years ago when I just fell off the train, and I was feeling terrible, and I needed to rediscover who I was. Actually, not even rediscover, just discover who I am.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stories that, when you brought me on and you said, let's start this podcast, you started interviewing a lot of these inspirational people. And I was like, I fall in line with a lot of what they have to say, because that is the same exact journey that I went on. Yeah.
And that's perfect, Shan, because that's what we try to share out is the journey that people are going through, not just the hard times, but what they've done to overcome and what their life is like today. Because I think there are so many important lessons to be learned in those stories. So today we're going to share out some of the clips that were really popular, and the clips are shared out on Facebook. Also, of course, as I mentioned off the top, iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube. And we really appreciate all of the support, because the more that we're able to tell these stories and the more that you share them out, I mean, it's incredible. It's like a movement of trying to put out positive information. But people have really walked through some hard journeys who we've interviewed, and they've come out the other side. And that's what I like to share with all of you. So right now I want you to listen to Tim Hattrick. He is an amazing guy, and he's a well-known radio personality in town. But he went through a tough journey. He lost his job, and he lost his entire 401k savings, and he's managed to find a new kind of high on life. He's back on the radio now, and he talks to us about having gone through this, the highs, the lows, and where he is today. You have a wife.
Yes.
You have a family.
Right.
How scared were you?
Never scared. I thought I'll find a job. And, first of all, I want to say I had all this money that I needed, thank God, when, we had 5 kids and they were all out of the house. And so I'm grateful that when I needed money the most, we did have money. But and I thought I'll find another job. So when Willie decided he was going to hang up his headphones, I started to look at radio jobs for myself. And then when those weren't opening up, I started looking at associated fields, advertising, marketing, PR. And even those jobs, I couldn't seem to break through. And Carey, I want to say I'd never, since I was in high school, filled out an application or done a resume in my life, because there was always one radio job after another. So here I was, 53 years old, going, how does this work? I'm on Indeed and jobbing.com, and I think I probably applied for, all total, maybe 1,000 jobs in 4 years. And if I heard back from 15 of them, I'd be surprised.
Tim's interview really touched a lot of people. I heard from so many people after that interview, including a wonderful woman who I love here in town, Anita, who is Anita Helt, who is the GM of ABC. And she watched Tim's interview and she was kind of blown away. And I don't know if I ever told you about that, but because he came in here and he was so honest about his journey, how he lost his 401k savings, how he couldn't find another job, how radio was all he ever knew, but he never lost his faith.
Yeah. And I think that was an important turning point for him when and it was humbling, because when he started discussing about how he was getting in these Uber cars and how he was like, no one really knew who I was.
Yeah, he was an Uber driver.
And he went from top radio, morning radio,
all over the billboards.
Yeah, everywhere. And, he's competed with some of the best to now just being an Uber driver, and then moving into becoming this UPS driver, and just and being humbled by saying like, gosh, I have to know how to actually go and pick these items from a ticket and put them on a belt or whatever.
Oh yeah, when he was working at Amazon.
Just like reality check. It was just a big reality check for him. But it was this journey that I think that made him a lot stronger, and his faith, I think, was also. I think that was a big. That's what kept him alive. That's what kept him, to persist, and his family life. I mean, for all the things. I mean, he's got children, all going to college, and here he is losing his entire savings, and he's still like, you know what? I'm just going to continue moving forward because I just have to have the faith in God.
He stayed positive. Yeah. And what I loved that he told us too is that there was no shame in the game. Yeah. I mean, he enjoyed driving for Uber. He likes talking to people, and he said he loves driving and he loves talking.
Yeah.
So he did a UPS, Uber, and then he worked at Amazon. So we thanked him so much for coming on and sharing his story with us. And one of the people who saw his story and who loved it was Johnjay Van Es, who is the morning show host for Kiss FM. So Johnjay, he wouldn't mind me telling you this, that he texted me after and he said, I am just about in tears watching that interview. I always loved Tim Hattrick, but I love him so much more now. Well, it ends up that Johnjay came on the show not long after because he had gone through a terrible bullying incident. Another radio host was really kind of bullying him and shaming him. And so he came on to talk about it. We didn't name the other radio host or station. But in that interview, Johnjay then disclosed that he went through a lot of bullying as a kid and that his parents always stuck by him and always loved him, and they made him the man he is today. Listen.
My wife said, if I get hit by a car when I leave here today, I hope that I left an impact in the community. And like my wife says, will the community miss you if you're gone tomorrow? And I said to her yesterday, I said, I don't know if the community's going to miss me tomorrow. And she goes, we have this conversation every day. She says, look at all the dogs that we save with Love Pup. She goes, look at all the people we help out with Love Up, all the foster kids, all the kids. She goes, we are making an impact every day. We're going to keep going and keep going. And maybe, who knows what happens. And the thing is, if we save one kid, we save one dog, we're making an impact.
I know how huge of an impact your mom and your dad had on your life. I see oftentimes you post about your dad, who you lost how many years ago?
10 years ago.
What does that mean to you, having been brought up by parents like that, who you could talk to and who always stood up for you?
Oh, it means the world. Now you give me all. Look at you, Barbara Walters. I every morning I drive into work, and every morning I pray. And one of the first things I say is I pray and I thank God for putting those two people in my life, for giving me those parents, two of the greatest people anyone could ever ask for. And I'm grateful because of them. I think I'm raising these three boys right, and because of my wife.
I mean, truly, these interviews are why I do what I do, because I believe that Johnjay Van Es coming in with his platform, and his interview was seen over 100,000 times and shared out so many times. But him coming in and sharing out his very personal story, I believe that could save lives, Shannon, because when Johnjay says, look, I was bullied and here's what I went through, and kids listen to him. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a very popular morning show host on Kiss FM. And I think that telling those stories can have so much impact.
Yeah, from someone who actually is on radio, I don't think anyone really understands the impact that being in the media can have, and whether that be a negative or a positive, putting someone in a negative or a positive light. And Johnjay just chooses to create the good out of what he has available to him. Yeah. Sure, he's going to make fun of people, but that's all part of the shtick. That's all part of radio. Yeah. But for the most part, if you watch Johnjay on his Instagram feeds and you see what he writes on Twitter, he's just a genuinely nice dude.
Yeah.
And he just wants to see people feel loved, see success, and he wants to see people laugh, and that's why he does what he does.
He is a funny guy, by the way.
He just wants to do the right thing for people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We had an interview recently that also got shared out so much. A rising country music star named Austin Burke. So he came in to talk about coming to Phoenix to sing at Country Thunder. I mean, this guy's really becoming super popular. He has a new song out. I guess it's lightened things up in the country world. He's doing really well in Nashville. And he came in with his dad, Sean. And it was interesting where the interview went, Shannon, because it wasn't just about music. It was about what they went through when Austin was growing up and how financially they went through some really hard times, and his dad had trouble paying the bills. And it was interesting to see Austin talk about throughout all of that, how the family actually became closer. Here's what he said. What message do you want to send?
Well, I feel like I feel so blessed to have these tools that God's given me. And the truth is, everybody has tools. Not everybody knows how to use those tools, but everybody has tools. And once you figure out how to use those tools, it's like your life makes sense. And everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to be, this big singer or this big, actor, or they want to do these things that they see and feel like are important. But the truth is, the second that you listen to what you're really supposed to do, that's the second that life makes sense. And I've never forced music. I've never, tried to make things happen that weren't supposed to happen. It's happened because it's supposed to happen. And whether, I'm the next Garth Brooks or I'm just, going city to city playing music at, local bars, I'm waking up every day and loving what I do. And I'm successful because of that.
By the way, go check out Austin Burke's music, because he's not only a great singer and songwriter, but he is a tremendous guy. He has such an incredible character. I thought a lot about him. So we interview a lot of people who have overcome great odds, not just financially or personally, but also with their health. And there was a lady in here whose interview that we both loved, Angela Doonen. She's known as the local motivator. And she went through such an unimaginable time. She had a special needs daughter who passed away, and then Angela had to herself fight cancer. Through the cancer treatments, the chemotherapy and the radiation, she gained over 100 pounds. Well, she has fought back every step of the way. She fought to get her health back. She tells us that she is now cancer-free, and she fought to lose those 100 pounds, but it was not easy. Listen to what Angela says about just literally taking it one step at a time.
And I didn't want to fight. I literally at that point was done. But there was something inside of me when I could close my eyes and I'd cry, I would see her. And I can remember her challenges and all that she lived and all she went through. And I thought, how dare I just give up? I have two legs, and yes, they're slow, and yes, I'm not going to move very fast, but I can move them, and I have the ability to use my mind to move them. So it's my mind that I got to push, and I knew that my body will just have to comply. And at that time, I had no concept that I was going to become what I am today with my health, a medical poster child to the proven scientific benefits of exercise. I had no concept, but I just used her memory and her challenges to push me past my challenges. And that's what got me here.
And we also did an interview. It was a pretty sobering interview with Bruce St. James, who is a radio show host. He is a talk show host. And he talked about his struggle with depression over the years. Here is what Bruce had to say.
My suicidal thoughts had less to do with harming myself and more to do with not caring what happened. That it wasn't I was going to go out and purposely do something, but I certainly wasn't going to stop it from happening. I certainly wasn't going to do anything to preserve myself. That today was as good a day as any to die. It's like, why wear your seatbelt? Why put a helmet on the motorcycle? Who cares? I just didn't care what happened to me. I had no sense of self-preservation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Ate poorly, didn't sleep.
You gained a lot of weight, right?
I gained a ton of weight. Yeah. Absolutely. I did self-destructive things within my world of being self-destructive. Didn't get to the point where I literally thought I was going to do something to kill myself. But, again, certainly didn't do things that a healthy, sane, thinking person would say, this is in your long-term interest. I didn't care about long-term. Long-term for me was 4 o'clock that day.
I just want to take this opportunity to say thanks to Bruce, really to everyone who's come in over these 100 episodes and shared a piece of their life with us, but especially Shannon talking about something as difficult as depression and opening yourself up that way. And Bruce, I have to say, he was so receptive. I had caught wind of him sort of sharing a little bit of his journey, and I texted him, or I messaged him on Facebook, I think privately, and said, would you be willing to talk a little bit more in depth? And he got right back to me and he said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I admire people who are using their own battles to try to help other people. And boy, when it comes to depression and mental illness, breaking down those stigmas, someone like Bruce St. James, that's so important.
And I think, did he say that he had chronic depression? It was something that he's going to constantly be battling with and dealing. Is that what he said? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, he talked about how there's no cure for him, but he has to manage it, and he's really sought therapy over the years to be able to identify when he might be sinking. Remember, he talked about he now can identify when he's sinking lower and lower.
And that's when I think that where Bruce's story really tells the tale, I think, of a lot of people. I've been depressed. I mean, I've come in, like there's been times I've come into this office and I've been depressed because I remember when I first had to start taking a pill every day of my life to battle my own conditions for thyroid. And I was like, that would like threw me off. And so everyone goes through some type of depression, and Bruce just happened to make light of the fact that, you know what, you may be going through depression, but you don't fight it the way I do. I fight it in a way different way. I struggle. Some days I don't get up.
Yeah.
Some days I just can't even get out of bed. Some days I think he even talked about you question the validity of your own life and whether or not it's worth to keep going.
But it is. Yeah. And he is. And he talks about just how he now seeks out ways to find joy. And I just really have a lot of respect for him and sharing his story. And he's such a talented guy. He's such a funny guy. He's a race car driver. He's super cool.
Yes, and he still lives life on his own terms.
He lives life on his own terms.
A point to make his life happy.
Yes. Now, finally, we want to round out this show, just our kind of montage show, bringing you a little bit of what we've been working on these 100 episodes, as you guys have all followed along, and we appreciate it. Of 2 episodes that Shannon really loved, one has to do with mental strength, and we want to share with you Matt Phillips. He is a coach who used to play baseball, and now he travels the country teaching people how to be more mentally strong. Listen.
Of how do we get out of our own way?
How do we get out of our own way?
By being mentally tough. No, where I go with people a lot is, what is that foundation? And then what I do is quickly dive into the power of thinking, right? So the thoughts we have. I start talking to people about different routines that they have, right? How do we set up our day in an appropriate way that's going to set us up for success and not set us up for failure? I talk about goal setting with individuals of how to do it where it's going to create momentum in your day and give you that dopamine hit that we're all out there seeking with our video games and phones and all that. We can get that like attacking your goals.
And finally, Joelle Hadley, who Shannon, this is like one of your top 3. She's so amazing. So she looks like Bo Derek, and she's this strong, super intelligent, very calm. What I love about her so much is not just everything, but but she has such a calming energy about her. I just want to sit with her and nobody even has to say anything.
Yeah.
It's just one of those Zen people. So she teaches people how to become more emotionally intelligent. Listen.
Number 1, resiliency. So one of the key elements of being emotionally intelligent, and I like to say it's not an oxymoron. We can be intelligent with our emotions, even the men, right? My husband jokes that he married me because he doesn't have very much emotional intelligence. But ironically, men have a side of emotional intelligence that women can learn from, and then women have emotional intelligence characteristics that men can learn from. But number 1 is resiliency, the ability to get back up after something really tough. And that's what emotional intelligence is about. And if you look at about anybody famous, Oprah's kind of one of the most famous people who had a really tough life, and yet she still was so successful.
So mental strength and emotional intelligence, those were 2 topics that you really loved, Shan.
Well, and I said this before to you, and I will continue to say it every time. Is that none of this stuff exists in a vacuum. It's like you say, when you're talking about things that you're doing for Inspired Media 360, you always come and you say, there are a lot of moving parts happening.
Yeah.
But that just that's not for business. That is for your life. And, and I've mentioned that every story that you have done, it all talks about your life, how you can live a fulfilling life. And a lot of people don't believe that we live a life where we have to treat it like a business. We just think it's like a leisure. And really, truly, we in a sense, we have to treat our lives like we're running a business. In order to be a successful business, you have to be firing on all cylinders, and you have to be pushing the envelope as much as you can to see how far you are capable of creating the best quality of life. Because if you're just stagnant and you're just stuck, you're never going to experience what you never thought you could do. I mean, I've experienced that on many different levels. I've never been someone who's been into fitness, but when I found out that I could actually run on a treadmill for 1 hour, it blew my mind. And I thought, wow, that falls into mental strength. It falls into the emotions that I had going on. A lot of the baggage that I had carried with me for years. And you get people like Joelle and Matt, and then you talk about all the other, the entire compendium of people in this library who all have faced something. None of it exists in a vacuum. It all works together. Everything, the nutrition, the fitness, everything, the interpersonal relationships, all works together.
And that's what we're trying to bring people.
Right.
Bring it all together in these stories. So thank you so much to all of you guys for watching and supporting us. You can go to inspiredmedia360.com to subscribe, because the more people who subscribe, the more media we're able to create. I'm creating more shows, and we have some cool things coming your way. We have a partnership deal with ABC and some other partnership deals that I'll be announcing very soon. So please follow along with us. We really appreciate all of you. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube, and make sure that you connect with us on Facebook, Inspired Media 360. Today's show produced and engineered by that guy over there wearing the shirt that I love, Be Good to People, and brought to you by Inspired Media 360. Until next time, guys, stay inspired.